Greetings everyone. My name is Khawla Abu Ghaziyin. I present to you my topic for the group teaching module, which is the Environmental Performance Index. I hope you find this session beneficial and enjoyable. I will introduce the introduction and history, the EPI framework, EPI analyzes, UAE rank in EPI, and conclusion. The Environmental Sustainability Index ESI, which was issued between 1999 and 2005, was the predecessor to the EPI that started in 2002. Both indexes were created in partnership with the World Economic Forum and the European Commission's Joint Research Center by Yale University and Columbia University. EPI's indicators are aligned with the SDG's 17 goals and 169 targets to offer a baseline for measuring national performance and to illustrate how far nations are from achieving global objectives. The EPI's significance resides not only in the overall rankings, which are meant to promote productive competitiveness, but also in the issue-by-issue metrics, which serve as diagnostic tool to identify areas of weakness and strength. Countries can compare their performance as well as see how their performance has changed over time. For the year 2020, the Environmental Performance Index ranks 180 countries. Denmark, Luxembourg, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom and France are the top 5 countries. Air quality, sanitation, and drinking water, heavy metals, waste management, biodiversity and habitat, ecosystem services, fisheries, climate change, pollution emissions, agriculture, and water resources are all the metrics of 2020 Environmental Performance Index, which ranks 180 countries on 32 performance indicators in the 11 issue categories mentioned. For the EPI framework, it starts with combining data from a variety of sustainability metrics into a single figure, scientific research, sensing methods, and data reporting. 32 environmental performance indicators were compiled for the 2020 EPI. The information is gathered from reputable third-party sources. Credible databases are based on well-established collection procedures that have been peer-reviewed or endorsed by international bodies. Data that are received are created into indicators on a 0 to 100 scale, from worst to best performance, to give our measurement significance to a broad audience. To analyze the 2020 EPI, we point out 4 major things. We start by the relationship between GDP and EPI. Although many countries outperform or underperform their economic peers, the relationship between 2020 EPI score and GDP per capita shows a strong positive correlation, as we can see in the figure in this slide. According to the 2016 EPI report, practically every country's EPI score has improved over the last decade. However, countries with higher performance levels, such as North America and Europe, have not progressed nearly as much as developing countries have over the last decade. Environmental health and ecosystems vitality both have positive association with GDP per capita, implying that As national wealth rises, so does national environmental performance. The second thing we should point out is the relationship between economic prosperity and EPI. Pollution and other strains on ecosystem vitality are generally associated with industrialization and urbanization, particularly in developing countries where air and water emissions are still large. At the same time, the facts imply that governments do not have to choose between economic security and sustainability. Despite the stresses associated with economic prosperity, policymakers and other stakeholders in major countries demonstrate that focused attention can motivate communities to preserve natural resources and human well-being. Good governance, such as devoting to the rule of law, a dynamic press, and even-handed regulation enforcement, have strong ties to best EPI ranking. High-scoring countries have lengthy policies and procedures in place to protect public health, preserve natural resources, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. The findings also imply that countries that make concentrated efforts to decarbonize their electrical sectors have made the most progress in combating climate change, with positive outcomes for ecosystems and human health. Lastly, national sustainability efforts must be deepened on all aspects by laggards. Several key countries in the global south, such as India and Nigeria, are near the bottom of the list. Their poor EPI scores suggest that they need to pay more attention to wider range of sustainability needs, with a particular emphasis on crucial concerns including air and water quality, biodiversity, and climate change. Other laggards like Nepal and Afghanistan suffer bigger issues like civil conflict, and their low rankings are almost entirely due to poor governance. UAE rank on EPI. The UAE scored 42 on 2020 EPI country rank out of 180 countries, and a score of 55.6 when it comes to Environmental Performance Index. The UAE comes first in Ecosystem Services metric with a perfect score of 100. The UAE came 21st on the Water Resources metric with a score of 76.8. You will find attached in the additional material the full scoreboard of the UAE. We lastly conclude that the indicators of the EPI are connected with Sustainable Development Goals to provide a baseline for monitoring national performance and to show how far countries are from reaching global goals. The importance of the EPI lies not only in the overall rankings, which are intended to encourage productive competitiveness, but also in the issue-by-issue metric, which are used as a diagnostic tool for countries to discover areas of weakness and strength inside their own borders using a common framework and strategy. Countries can compare their performance to that of their neighbors and peers, as well as assess how their own performance has changed over time. This have been my group teaching module about Environmental Performance Index. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.